What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. Talk Nelson Radio. The Mako Rugby Roundup.
Welcome to the Mako Rugby Roundup, episode 12, and welcome back to my partners in crime, Les Edwards and Sean Davis. Welcome back,
Chris.
gentlemen.
Yeah, nice to be here, my friend.
All right, mate, we better explain the wardrobe. That's a very bright shirt, that one.
Yeah, this is a replica Tasman Mako shirt from 2014, and that's when our guest, Tom Marshall, played that year in the Premiership.
Wow.
Our promotion to the Premiership, having won the championship. So that tip to you, Tom.
Cheers, Les.
And
Mate,
Sure.
yeah, no, I just got my work gear on again, mate. Honestly, I think we need to.
if we're having a wardrobe section,
we need to
we've got to put a bit more effort in.
I just can't see how we can all keep up with Liz.
Well, that's true. That's true. It does make him stand out from the crowd. And as mentioned, our very special guest is Mako number 79. That's how you label these days. But of course, but also fullback for the current Mako squad. It's a welcome back to Tom Marshall. Great to have you here, mate.
Cheers, Chris. Great to be on the podcast and good to see Les managing to squeeze into that top.
Yeah, that's right. He's done well.
10
actually.
years ago, I'm holding my stomach in, boys.
Great to have you here. And in this week's show, we talk first 15 rugby, the Stuff Tasman Trophy semi-final. So some big games this weekend, the Rugby Championship, and we catch up with Tom about his quite extensive career, actually, and his signing with the current Mako squad. So we're going to see how that goes. A venue sponsor, of course, is O'Shedigans on Bridge Street, and it's time for the Shed Chat. So what's been happening? Sure.
Yeah, mate, just another week in paradise. But we've got we're in that sort of lull between rugby seasons kicking off and the All
that's
Blacks
right,
cranking up and things like that. So we're looking forward to the All Blacks starting this weekend, although it is a 7 a.m. kickoff or something like that. So we might skip this one at the bar, but we'll
Sleeping, eh?
watch it.
We were just saying before the show, is it bacon and eggs?
Yeah,
an Irish breakfast, perhaps.
Yeah, just come around home instead. Yeah.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Cool. And Wimbledon also on,
mate.
On the
it's
screen.
On. It's difficult time of night, that one, but we do play it every night from around 11 o'clock midnight. So if you're out and about, it's always on anyway, for sure.
And of course, open right across the weekend, so you better come and have a boogie at O'Shedigans on Bridge Street. First 15 rugby, round 8. Les, how are things looking?
Well, we've got Waimea combined away to Kashmir combined, so they're 2 and 5. They're playing Kashmir combined, who are 1 and 6. So this is a very big opportunity for Waimea combined to go south and get their third win of the season. In terms of the Premiership, Marlborough Boys College, who are 3 and 4, are away to Timaru Boys High School, who are 1 and 6, and Nelson College have the bye. They beat Christ College in the quadrangular, and so they go to 8 and 0. So their unbeaten record in the Crusaders Super Rugby, Crusaders region first 15 comp is intact.
So what secondary school did you go to, Tom? Was that college? Yeah.
Yep, Nelson College boy.
And were you a first 15 player?
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So do you keep the odd eye on the other team?
Yeah, I do, yeah. I'll whenever I'm back home, I'll try to get up into the main field and see the boys run around. But they're a pretty tidy outfit these days now, Nelson College.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
And have you managed to see the new pitch up there, the turf, how it's holding up?
Yeah, I have. Geez, isn't that good stuff? I mean,
You would have enjoyed that.
Imagine the days.
Oh.
Imagine if there was some foresight then. I would just put up with it.
honestly,
Mud bath.
mate, we used to just run around in mud. That was pretty tough going, but it's awesome for the boys to have a good pitch to run on.
And Broads wasn't much better either, was it?
No, God, that usually had the fields closed signed up more often than not. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. All right, Les. Senior Club Rugby. The Stuff Tasman Trophy semi-final. Take us through it.
Well, last weekend we said it was a big weekend. We thought Stoke and Central would get wins, and they did. And then that made the Kahurangi Maris game at Trafalgar Park the big one to decide who came first and who came fourth. Now, unfortunately for the boys in green, they went down and they got beaten quite comprehensively by Kahurangi 38-5.
Wow.
So the first semi-final is a replay of that game, this time out at Sports Park Motueka. So, a very interesting matchup. I'm sure both teams will learn something from the video of the previous game. And then in the other semi-final, Central, with their win, secured second spot, so they're hosting Stoke at Lansdowne Park.
Rightio. So we do tips here, Tom. So it doesn't really matter if you haven't seen much of the games. We won't hold it against you. It is on record though.
Yeah.
So these guys definitely got green eyes.
Yep.
But quite a comprehensive win at Trafalgar Park by Kahurangi over Marist. But Marist actually have been previous to that playing pretty well. So any thoughts? Have you had a chance to see anything?
No, I do follow. I have been following the club rugby since I've come back. It's going to be a tough one to Marist to turn that one around, I would imagine.
Because Kahurangi at home, aren't they? So there's going to be a big crowd out there.
Home. They got some good players in that Kahurangi team. Some boys been training well. I'd go Kahurangi by 20.
Rightio.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say Kahurangi have been building to a premiership victory for quite a number of years. We've talked about it previously. You know, the players there are more and more experienced. They've got some quality players all around the park. So, yeah, they've been building to this. They won't want to let their fans down at Sports Park Mock, that's for sure.
Yeah, it really showed on Saturday, didn't it? With the just the extra experience maybe of the Kahurangi lads. They really controlled the game for 90% of it territory wise and everything. And the Marist boys didn't have an answer. And to try and turn around 30-something points in a week is going to be a big ask here.
I can see they're taking the modest.
You
keep humble. You keep underneath the radar.
It's unlikely, but
during the week they've been on obstacle courses. They've been under fire with machine guns. They've been doing everything possible. I'm sure they'll be navel gazing, Les, and they learned from those games that it's going to be a huge game at Sports Park Motueka. Good luck to both sides. Central take on Stoke. Stoke have come into some late season form. They've been playing really well, but they do have to travel to take on last year's title winners.
Yeah, I think defending premiers, Central will be very, very strong at home. I'd tip them 12 and under, somewhere around there. Close game, I would hope. And good luck to Stoke travelling over there.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Sean?
Yeah, I'd really like to see Stoke put up quite a good fight. They could probably, it's a big ask, Central at home. They're going to have a big crowd out there as well. I'd like to see Stoke get up, but yeah, realistically, it's probably looking a little bit more like Central should get this one done as well.
No, fuel to the fire for Chris Little. What are your thoughts?
I can't argue with that. I think Central will probably be too good.
Right.
They got big Jim the Brass back, who's looking absolutely enormous, and he'll be pretty hard to tackle, I'd imagine. But no, I think it's good for the competition as well to have a Marlborough side showing good form, and obviously they've been good for the last few years, so it's good for the region, eh?
Yeah. Credit to Quinton. We had him on the show last week, so had his Central shirt on. So
nice.
Proud Central man. So yeah, big day in Blenheim. So good luck to both sides.
Les, we'll want a we're fourth anyway. So if we do manage to get up on the weekend, we'll probably only want to travel to want Stoke to win for Nelson final.
Yeah, trip to Great Meadows would be wonderful.
All right,
in the Waka Tour.
So is that what will happen if Central win and God forbid, Kahurangi win? What happens there? Is it in Lansdowne Park?
No, Kahurangi are top seed.
Yeah, they're number
one. Are they?
Yeah. So it'll be at Sports Park Motueka in front of their fans.
But they won't. They don't default it. They don't have to. So you'd pick your home support, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, the Rugby Championship, finally it's here, isn't it? The big build-up, and it's going to be a massive year, with World Cup on the way. Again, we'll do some tipping here, but the first one, South Africa versus Australia and Pretoria. Pretoria. Tom, big game, that one. Yeah. And what kind of South African team will it be? Because will they have all their players?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
No, look, this is where we're in the dark a bit at the moment. Yeah. I've seen a team named, and it looks like there are a lot of different players to what we would normally expect. But and the same for the Australians. I haven't seen their team yet, so it's one of those. This weekend is where we get a bit of a feel for the strength of the four sides, I think. And then next week we can tip with more confidence. I would hope.
And Eddie Jones led Australia, so that's going to be interesting as well. But we're going to have to pick a tip.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Tom?
I'll go South Africa. Purely fact of home crowd advantage. Always tough to beat there, so I think they'll get up.
Yeah, Loftus versus Veld is an amazing stadium, intimidating for any visiting team. I go along with Tom's prediction there.
Yeah, similar. I think the Australian team this year might surprise a few people. I think they're going to be probably one of the more improved Southern Hemisphere teams. But yeah, like I say, we don't have a lot to judge that on at the moment. So just purely based on the location of the game, I think the South Africans will have the advantage.
Alrighty, and Argentina versus New Zealand at Mendoza.
Location's got nothing to do with it.
Doesn't affect it at all.
So before we talk about the actual game, let's talk about the New Zealand lineup a bit. Expectation on positions. So Tom, I know it's difficult because there's a big squad. So, but we don't have Will Jordan and we don't have Leicester playing either. So there's a couple of positions up for grabs. Who do you think comes in at fullback there?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Personally, I think they'll probably stick Beauden Barrett at fullback, start Richie Mo'unga at 10. But I think you might see a couple of debutants on the wing, or at least one, maybe Hamoni Nawara. You could get a crack, or Sean Stevenson might find himself on a wing as well. With I'd imagine Mark Talia if he's fully fit. But yeah, it's a tough one. They could go anyone really. They could.
Damien McKenzie off the bench.
I think so. I mean he's been probably the form first five in the competition. I think, but just with his versatility, being able to cover fullback as well, it's almost a double-edged sword for him. And I think he's pretty much cemented that number 22 jersey at this stage, unless he really puts his hand up for that starting 10 position, which will be tough.
What do you think, Les? What are you expecting to see with the
I'm absolutely convinced Mo'unga starts. I differ slightly. I want to see Sean Stevenson get a run, and I think they could do that at number 14. And then my fullback would be Damien McKenzie with Bodie Barrett in the 22 jersey, 23 jersey. Just it's a slight switch on what Tom's saying. But yeah, the team hasn't been announced yet. I guess we're going to see that tonight. But it's also that's an interesting part of the selection dynamic, isn't it, mate? But also the makeup of the back row.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually quite interested in the second halfback position as well. I'm assuming Aaron Smith will probably start, but one of those other lads are going to get a crack at some point, I think. Yeah.
And who are you tipping? You like Roy?
I think we've got to give him a crack at some point. Finley's been in and around for a wee while, so I reckon we give him a run off the bench this week. See how he copes.
Yeah, you'd presume Sam Cane by default would come into 7, but 6 is going to be interesting.
That's what I mean. I think Artie Severe and Sam Cane pick themselves. It's whether or not they go with Fanau or Frizzell, or take a punt on playing another lock and putting Scott Barrett at 6. So,
Sam Whitelock, you presume, wouldn't be playing.
Yeah,
so it'll be Retallick and Barrett at locking, and then either Frizzell or the others at 6.
Yeah, I mean Papali'i and Jacobson as well. They've got to be in the mix. But
wow,
plenty of numbers around those sort of spots.
Yeah.
This is where the selectors earn their keep.
I know. And you don't know. I mean, there's probably a lot of gamemanship at this this championship as well, because you have got the ultimate is the Rugby World Cup, isn't it? So are they going to put all their eggs into each game's basket, or are they going to be experimenting a little bit around some combinations in the build up to the Rugby World Cup? So you might see some experimentation going on. I think, if Argentina tip us up, is that so much of a worry? But on that, Argentina have been growing and improving. What are we picking for this game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one for the All Blacks, to be honest. I think Argentina will be right up for it. Whereas, as you said, we might be experimenting a little bit with players in different positions, where Argentina will be wanting to win this game no matter what. They'll see it as an opportunity, probably. So I honestly reckon it could go either way. But, you have to make a pick, so I'll say AB's just.
All right. Les?
Yeah, Mendoza's a tough place to play rugby also, by all accounts. So I think New Zealand will get up, and I think by 12 and under. But don't be surprised if everything clicks and we're smiling broadly on Sunday.
Right. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna lean towards that. I think we World Cup. Yeah, hopefully all the boys are out to prove something, and I think we kick away on them 13 plus.
Okay, I think we'll be too messy. It's the first game. We're experimenting. Argentina will tip them up because I'm the only one that's tipped that.
I didn't actually know anyone would do that.
It's happened before.
You're allowed to think it. You can't say it.
Okay. All right. You're with the Mako Rugby Roundup. It's our great pleasure to welcome to our podcast Tom Marshall. It's Mako 79 and signed to play with the Mako for 2023 to build on his already 49 caps. So it means hopefully 50 on the way. Mate, are you excited for the season? And of course, excited maybe getting that blazer.
Yeah, definitely am. It's proven to be a little bit elusive for me. Came back in 2020 and tried to give it a crack, but unfortunately, COVID hit again, and I think we had a 4-week lockdown or something like that. And then I had Japanese commitments, so had to go back to Japan. And unfortunately, I was stranded on 49 caps. And to be honest, I thought that was probably where I was going to end up. But luckily, it's all kind of worked out. And Corn has been sending me a few messages over the last few months, and it's been a bit of a long process, but here I am. I'm back, and hopefully I can get back out there for one game, and get my blazer.
Yeah, I think it's magnificent that you will. You'll be, one of a storied number of players to earn their blazer. I remember you coming back and falling one short. We even joked about putting you out there as a mascot, didn't we?
Yeah, I was dead keen for that. I just wasn't sure about the technicalities, whether it would
count as a game.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. So you first became a Mako in 2010 alongside your brother James, both out of Nelson College and then Nelson Rugby Football Club, tap, tap. Was it always your goal to play professionally?
Yeah, it was. Look, at Nelson College, we were pretty fortunate to have a pretty good system there. We had rugby class, which, counted towards your education at the time, which was almost ahead of the game a little bit, because rugby was only really just kind of becoming professional, whereas now it is a legitimate career option.
That was a subject at college?
Yeah. Was it? Yeah. And it still is now. And I think there's fair reason for it, because it is like just any other profession these days. You can be a professional rugby player and do it for a decent amount of time. So it does kind of make sense. But at the time, it was all pretty new, and that's something that helped me a lot through my development as a young guy at college. I went really hard. I was lucky enough to see my brother, who was 2 years ahead of me, kind of follow in his footsteps and see him miss out on a couple of teams, and it just kind of inspired me to train a little bit harder and see what I could do a little bit better. And yeah, it certainly was a goal for me.
So 2010 was a tough year. There were 4 wins in that season. 2011 even more difficult, 2 wins, and coming last in the competition. So could you possibly imagine what it would be like 2 seasons later to be winning a championship at that time?
Yeah. Look, we definitely had some tough times in those beginning years, but I think it's a pretty good representation of what success looks like. Like it's not all straight up linear line, that you got to go through those tough times, and all those hard times is just a byproduct the good times, sorry, are just a byproduct of all those hard times and the good people there were in the organisation that were working really hard, all on the same page, getting there. So it's not a big surprise that Tasman is where it is at the moment, because there's been a lot of good people that have gone through the system and a lot of people that have put a bloody shitload of hard work into it to get to where it is now. And it's just awesome to see that it is one of the best provincial teams in New Zealand.
Yeah, which it is. You mentioned some of those great people who have helped drive that success. Your memories of the good buggers who actually made it all come together?
Well, yeah, it kind of started with, I guess, Kieran Kane and Liam McDonald as the coaching group, and then the players at the time. Joey Wheeler we were lucky enough to have a terrific captain, Shane Christie, who's a great man and he's a great leader. And then you got all those guys around him like Quinna McDonald. You got players coming back like Andrew Goodman, and you got your Robbie Mounticks that have been there for decades. It's just a whole lot of good people, good buggers,
Yeah.
And it's like yourself, Les, like guys in the office as well, that it's just everyone in the environment that are just so passionate about the team doing well. And, I think when you go to good environments and you go to teams with good cultures, it is noticeable. Everyone is all on the same page and everyone's rowing in the same direction. You might not get the success straight away, but you will get it eventually.
Yeah, as proven in, 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then premierships in 19 and 20. So it was hard work, but the team was always very good, always had the support of the region. The Mako fans are amazing, and they've bought into it too. So, yeah, well done on helping us get there, It was awesome watching you play, by the way, Tojo.
Thanks.
Hey, mate, then you moved into Super Rugby. You became a Crusader 2011, 3 seasons with them, and then a couple of seasons with the Chiefs, playing over 70 Super Rugby matches. Tell us some of your favourite memories across those 2 franchises.
Yep. Started out at the Crusaders. My first year at the Crusaders was probably a pretty special year for me. Obviously, first year being a full-time professional and coming into an environment where, there was the best players in the world at the time. You had Dan Carter, Richie McCaw, Kieran Reid, Sonny Bull,
Squatto,
Izzy Dag, Robbie Fruin. I was one of the only non-All Blacks pretty much that was managing to get some good game time towards the end of the season. But also the earthquake happened in Christchurch. So every game was an away game for us, which made it a little bit more special. Me being young, I was keen as mustard. We were just going everywhere. We were on the plane all the time. I think we went to South Africa 3 times that year.
Came here 4 times?
Yeah, we came here. I actually had my debut at Trafalgar Park, which was cool.
Wow. That's cool. Cool.
And pretty, unlikely, for the Crusaders. So it was kind of like a pretty surreal moment for me. I came off the bench against the Waratahs at Trafalgar Park on I think it was a Saturday night, which was cool. And then we made the final in Queensland, and we just came up a little bit short there, which was devastating. But that was a special year for me. Obviously learned loads, and it's kind of like one of those pinch me moments. Shit, I'm here. I'm running out on to the Super Rugby final.
Yeah.
And I think I was 20 or just turned 21. I had my 21st birthday that week. So those are the memories that are pretty special.
That's pretty cool. Is there any guys that across your playing time that you especially liked playing outside of?
Dan Carter. He's Dan Carter, isn't he? I probably don't even need to go any more depth in that. But I love playing with Aaron Cruden as well. So I enjoyed my time at the Chiefs. Some quality players there, and at the time they still are. Well, they are at the moment. They're playing really good footy, and there's some good players. Sonny Bull's obviously, he's a different breed. He's a freak of an athlete, and he's one of those players that can always.
Did you just cattle dog him? Did you just follow him around waiting for an offload out of nowhere?
Yeah, honestly, you follow him and you'll get the ball.
Something will happen.
Essentially, he'll get the arm free. He can always get the arm free. But yeah, he was a special player.
You were just 26 years old. Seriously on the radar. It was a very good right wing and fullback, both NPC for Tasman and Super Rugby. In 2016, you decided to play for Gloucester for the next 5 seasons. So tell us about that decision. And
it's 2015, I think it was. I have been playing Super Rugby for 5 seasons. And to be honest, I was a little bit sore. I had a pretty sore knee. It wasn't really getting any better, and I managed to get a kind of 3-year contract in Gloucester. I was eligible to play for England through ancestry, so there was an opportunity, if I had played well for that to happen. So it was a pretty easy decision to leave New Zealand at the time. But when I got to Gloucester, it was 50-50 whether or not I was actually going to be able to play rugby again. I within a week of being there, I was getting surgery on my knee, which was pretty buggered, to be honest. But luckily enough, I had one of the leading surgeons in the world, obviously being over in London, a guy called Hakan Alfredson. You definitely owe my career to him because he fixed up my patella tendon, which was pretty buggered. And I think after about 7 months, I managed to make my debut for Gloucester and was fortunate enough to stay there for an extra 4 seasons.
Fantastic. So you played roughly around the same amount of seasons, both in New Zealand and in Gloucester. So what are the main differences between the two competitions, do you feel?
They're completely different, to be honest. Northern Hemisphere, obviously you've got the weather conditions, which is, you can guarantee the ball's going to be wet. And the style of play is very physical, a lot more kicking dominant, a lot more set piece dominant. And the seasons are long. You play quite a few games. I think you have about 25 games throughout the season, and that's at a pretty intense level. So it's tough on the body physically. It's enjoyable, like Kingsholm Stadium, where Gloucester's home ground is one of the best places that I've played at. The crowd is pretty much sold out every week, only 15,000 or so, but they turn up every week, and geez, they're there. They give you some good support.
Good stuff. And who are the players and coaches that you admired at Gloucester?
At Gloucester, who did I have on coach? So I had a few coaches throughout my time there, but I was lucky enough to have Johan Ackerman, who South African man. He coached the Lions when the Lions were successful, and he came over to Gloucester, and I really liked the way he went about his work. He was a very big picture thinker, liked to play positive rugby, and he was a good bloke. He ended up getting me over to Japan with him for my first season, which was awesome. Player wise, there's loads of quality over there. I'd say probably the best, most gifted player I played with was probably Danny Cipriani. He's probably gets in the headlines for a lot of the wrong reasons, but he's an absolute freak. He's the most gifted ball player I've played with. I've talked about Dan Carter being special, but Danny Cipriani, his ball playing ability is easily the best that I've seen. Yeah.
That's interesting because he's one of those guys that we would read about, right, tearing it up in the comp, but then the England coaches and selectors would just disregard him. Yeah. Why? Because he played too many 50-50 balls, or
honestly, I don't know. It's tough like that. Yeah, there's a lot of players that are like that. You think, man, like they're awesome. Why aren't they getting picked? Yeah. And you literally don't know. There's players like that in New Zealand as well, though. Like the likes of Sean Stevenson, who's finding it blimmin' hard to get a crack, and hopefully he does get a crack. But like, there's always unlucky players, and no matter what nation you go to, and I don't know, you have to ask the coaches what they've done.
Of course.
Get them on next week.
Yeah.
Mate, after Gloucester, off to Japan in 2021. First with the Red Hurricanes and then the Green Rockets. What took you that direction, mate?
Yeah, so that was a funny time to be alive for everyone, I suppose. COVID had hit, and the premiership in the UK had stopped indefinitely. All the boys were getting pay cuts, and kind of, it was all pretty gloomy. So naturally, I was looking for contracts elsewhere, and funnily enough, Johan, who I was talking about earlier, my coach at the time, said that he was leaving the club and he was going to Docomo, and he asked if I'd be interested in joining, and I was like, yep. Because I was been in the UK for 5 years, and I had a really good time, but we just had a baby, had my first boy, and we wanted to be a little bit closer to home. So Japan was a goal of ours, and we were lucky enough to kind of sneak in there.
Yeah, nice. And what was the standard of competition between compared to the UK and New Zealand?
Oh, mate, it was
different again.
Yeah, it was different. Yeah, but it was so much nicer on the body. Physicality wise, it's just a different game. Like it's fast and it's quite high skilled, but it's just there's no physical.
Go for it.
No physicality. The Japanese are small by nature, and even the big ones are quite small. So
run the ball and have fun.
Run the ball, have fun, score tries, defense optional. It's great.
Great way to end a career.
Yeah. Honestly.
Who were some of your teammates over there, mate?
Yep. So lucky enough to at Docomo roll off the plane and live in the same apartment as the great Marty Banks.
Oh wow, how's that?
That's good.
Which was cool. It was awesome, to be honest. Like a lot of the Japanese experiences is about who your foreigners are in your team, because you generally spend the most time with them just through the language barrier and stuff. So managed to have a lot of good times with Marty Banks. And we had TJ Perinara there as well, who's actually a really good bugger. It was nice to get to know him, and he was awesome for us. Like we had a really good year at Docomo, and he was probably the best player in the competition there. He was on absolute fire. So I had a couple of good Kiwis there, which was cool. Really enjoyed my time.
Nice.
Did you run into Joey Wheeler with Suntory at all? Did you play against him?
No, I don't. No, we didn't play against him. No, it was the funny. Like COVID had just there was a short competition or something like that. COVID was just it was still around, and there was no socializing with anyone, blah blah. But I didn't manage to see the big Wheeler.
No. You came back for some games for the Mako in 2021, as you mentioned, and now you're here for the 2023 season. But you're going to be now an elder statesman alongside Quinton McDonald. So, what would it be like, mentoring young men like Mako Springer to improve, perhaps?
Yeah, honestly, it's I forget how old I am until I'm out at training. I'm like, man, these guys are young, I'm 33, which in Japan's not actually that old, because there's old buggers everywhere. But here, the boys are young, hey? The boys are 20, 21. Even the older boys are 26. So, I'm lucky I've got my mate Quinton there to just take the stakes for the oldest boy. But no, it's awesome. I think it keeps me youthful. And I guess all I really want to do is try and if there are little bits of knowledge that I can hand out and help these dudes on who are just kind of starting their journey, then that would be great.
Who's showing their stuff on the training paddock so far? We all know the ability of Mako Springer, don't we? And we're watching him with the under-20s scoring lots of tries. But on the training pitch at the moment, who's catching your eye?
Yeah, it's all young boys at the moment. Obviously, the under-20 boys are away, and the Super Rugby boys, the Crusader boys, and the Chief boys are yet to return. So there are a lot of young boys out there, a lot of new faces. Tane's going good.
Tane Robinson?
Yep, Tane Robinson's going really well. He was around when I was back 2 years ago, and he's he's a class player. He's got all the skills. So it's only a matter of time before he clicks it all together and we start to see how good he is.
And he's only young. He's only, 21, 22. So he got put into the deep end fairly early. So, we watch in club rugby. We've mentioned it, that the quality of some of these young players, Graham Urquhart, for example, just second to none the way they can play the game. And you would never have had that in the old days. You'd have to go and have a season at senior B and sit on the pine for senior A. Mate. Now they just get thrown in at 18 and they blossom, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And the level of training, I've been really impressed with. Like the skill set's so high and the professionalism is just like at new levels. So, look, I think going forward, like the region's in a really good position, and we're attracting players to come here. People want to come and put on the jersey, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Tom, it's awesome to have you back with the jersey and back in the Mako squad. So fantastic to have you here. Thanks very much for coming in and good luck making that 50th game.
Cheers.
Whichever way you can make it.
Yeah. Matt's got a fall out fails there.
Hopefully it's on the pitch.
It will be.
Just got to get one out there. So cheapers, hopefully we haven't put the mockers on it. But cheers. It's good to be on the podcast. Good to see you guys getting into the local rugby, which is awesome.
We're not quite rivaling the popularity of your brother's podcast. He's still way up here. He's set another level up here, but we're working on it.
What a lad! Yeah, you got to start somewhere though, don't you?
Yeah, that's right.
No, we appreciate your kind words. I think anything we can do to throw a spotlight on our local rugby's well worthwhile.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you very much, mate.
Awesome,
thanks for coming
cheers.
in. All right, lads, big weekend. Got to get in the car and go over to Motueka.
Yes.
You got to drive on this week. Yep.
Quietly confident.
Worried,
humble, modest, under the radar. How are we going into this game?
Yeah, low key.
Yes. Realistic.
Oh, mate,
realistic.
Mate, we did not play like Marist on Saturday. We got away from everything that we're good at. I think if our boys are honest, look at the video and get back to what we're capable of and play the way we do, then we can keep Kahurangi close. So quietly optimistic with a trip to Motueka.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah, I think there's enough that went wrong last week that if we can correct it, I think it can be close. And if it's close, you never know.
All right, well, I'll bring some neutrality back into the show and wish both teams all the best of luck.
Yeah, and good luck to Central and Stoke.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lansdowne as well. Two
big
very
weekend.
Good clubs.
Big weekend. Good stuff. And we get to watch the All Blacks too, which is fantastic.
Hallelujah.
That's it for another week. Thank you very much. And we'll see you all again next week.
The Mako Rugby Roundup. What's on, where and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. Talk Nelson Radio.